Today, it is me that is actually presenting. My name is Miriam Galdelli, and my presentation is actually called The Adaptive Business. Who am I? I've been in business for 18 years. I've always worked in a field where I'm helping people and working with people where I get to work with them one-on-one. I've personally overcome many hurdles to reach my successes. So when I am approached by a business owner who feels like there's a roadblock or something in front of them, then I can definitely help to motivate them and help them to find a way around that roadblock. I am a foster parent and I am a dog lover. If you have a dog, please bring him to visit me. So my business is called The Adaptive Human. And just to put this out there, what do all these athletes have in common? They all have a coach. So even Michael Jordan, no matter how many years into his business he had a coach. Somebody on the sidelines who was there telling him what to do, who was there telling him or suggesting plays to him, having him adapt to the sports field, having him adapt to the other athletes, because it was an outside view into his abilities and into his talent. If we look in the business world, in reality, a sports coach is a little bit more like a consultant, because a consultant gives advice or helps people to pivot, helps people direct them in the right direction. So it's a little bit more similar to a sports coach. And so sometimes people ask themselves, why are you a good choice? So I've worked in the medical field for most of my career. And something that you really learn in the medical field is how to ask a lot of questions, how to do a proper needs analysis to help the person realize where they want to go and what exactly it is that they want and where they're starting. And this is very important because people and in their businesses, entrepreneurs need to be very self-aware of what their reality is and where they want to go. If we don't know what the reality is and we don't know where the end goal is, we'll never get there, right? If we want to go to Florida, you don't jump in a car and just drive east. You have to find the map and the best way to get to Florida from Montreal. Otherwise, instead of taking you a couple of days, it'll take you a couple of months to get there, which can still be fun. So I'm able to ask people a lot of questions so we can dive deeper into their situation, and I can help people discover connections and guide them in the right professional direction. So a consultant does not necessarily have to have experience in the exact field that a person has worked in. For example, I actually consulted with an investment banker the other day, and I was able to help him figure out his schedule. What he needed was learning how to prioritize his time and how to break down projects. And he was struggling because he knew he had his to-do list, he just couldn't figure out how to break it down. And so I was able to help him. So what does a realtor, a car salesman, a massage therapist, a financial advisor, and an accountant have in common? Anybody? Yes, Julie?
They all have to sell their services.
They all have to sell their services, and they all have to deal with clients. So right now we are in such a different market than we were a few months ago. Even people who consider themselves dinosaurs and have never touched the online world are now going online, are now starting to advertise, which is actually increasing the competition between people. The amount of ads I've been getting on Facebook since the quarantine started has quadrupled, not doubled, it's quadrupled. So how will you be different with your clients? And that's very important. So this is where I will take the time to talk about the first course that I've developed, which is optimizing the appointment cycle. How do you meet your client? How do you talk to your client? How do you pivot your client conversation? How do you go through the whole process so that by the time you've reached the close of the appointment and you've reached the follow-up, not only are they ready to sign on the dotted line to work with you, but they're also ready to refer you clients, okay? I'll give you an example of 2 interactions I had trying to buy a car. I walked into one dealership, I won't name the dealership, and I went up to the person, I said, I want a car with a lot of trunk space and I want a manual transmission. He brought me to an SUV. So I asked him, okay, there's a lot of trunk space. How much is the car? He said to me, it doesn't come in manual transmission, but this is the price. I said, well, I don't want it. I said, I want a manual transmission. And he said, well, all the little old ladies really love this type of car, so I'm sure you're going to end up liking it. So obviously I walked out of there. And I walked into another car dealership, and the salesman asked me probably 10 questions before even showing me a car. And then every time he showed me a car, he related the features of the car to the answers to the 10 questions he asked me. I bought the car from him because he listened to me and he connected with me. And this is really important, okay? And so this course will eventually be available online in a few months. But right now, I can also offer it to a team or a team that is being built. The Quebec government has subsidies that offers training for employees where they pay for the person, myself, who comes in to do the training, and they also pay the salary of the employees so that they're not coming in for free. So right now I am looking for professionals, solopreneurs who have either just started to build their team or who are looking to build their team. So realtors who want a team of realtors, financial advisors who want a team of financial advisors, chiropractors who have a team of chiropractors working with them, physiotherapy clinic owners, because no matter what field we are in, you have to connect with your client. A client will be more loyal to a service provider that is really good with them as a client versus somebody who has very poor customer service skills but gives a better service, quality of the service. So this is really important. I'm looking to help business owners increase the quality of the care. When I started hiring for one of my businesses, the biggest mistake I made is I assumed that my new employees had the same knowledge, experience, and customer service that I had after 18 years of experience. And here they are all brand new, just a couple of years in the field, and I was expecting them to be me. That's impossible, right? So I started to create courses for them to teach them how to deal with the clients. And within 2 weeks, the number of rebooks and referrals doubled. So this is very important. Do we have any questions? Nobody? I even put a nice puppy. Okay, so then we can start the round robin like we've been doing in the chapter. Does somebody else want to start since it's
I have a question. I have a question. Someone is asking a question. In regards to like the coaching process, how does that work? Like, what's the first step? I guess you figure out where they're at in their business, and then you determine a tailored game plan to growing their business. How does that work? Can you break that down?
So the first thing that I would do when somebody contacts me is do a needs analysis. Try to figure out what they actually need, right? Do they need me to consult with them, or do they need a coach? Do they need coaching in specific domains? Because there's also different coaches who specialize in specific things, okay? For example, with my sister's medical clinic, I've been doing a lot of work with them. But one of the problems is none of the surgeons can agree on how to run the place. So I referred them to a coach who is doing a character assessment on each of them so that now we can tailor our approach to each of the surgeons individually and figure out which surgeon is better suited for which project and which department. Especially with doctors, each doctor likes to be the smartest person in the room, so they often tend to butt heads. So it starts off with a pretty detailed needs analysis to figure out where it is that you want to go and what you want to do. And then working together, that's where we build the path into the future and figure it out where it is that you want to go. But a lot of times it has to come from the business owner. I cannot tell the business owner where he wants to go or she wants to go. They have to figure it out. Right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be quote unquote a business owner, like even a salesperson like Ricky. he can tell me, well, my goal is to eventually run a team of salespeople across Canada for John Gray Moving. I want to make John Gray Moving the biggest mover in Canada. So that's something that you can still work with, because every end goal has a whole bunch of micro goals. So if we go back to sports, you know, an athlete does not train the same during their on season when they're playing games as they do on their off season, their preseason, and their postseason, right? Each season has different types of trainings that they do. But the first thing is we have to start with the needs analysis.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Marianne.
So I suppose that you touch every industry and every kind of careers. So then how would you establish, is it per session? Is it many session? How do you do, how does it work with session-wise?
I always figure it out with the client.
Okay.
I think one of the worst things that was ever done to me by a consultant was they made me sign a contract that was based on time and not based on project. So after I finished the project that I had hired him for, I still had 6 months left in my contract. And so we ended up just talking about everything and anything and nothing during our sessions, which made me feel like it was a waste of time. So some people will hire on a per hour, per appointment basis, and other people will hire on a per project basis. So again, I go back to the needs analysis. I have to figure out from the needs analysis what exactly it is that they need.
Okay.
And sometimes in the process, we have to pivot. We have to change because the like quarantine happens, and so the market changes.
That's right. Okay.
No more questions? Okay.
Yeah, Miriam, just taking on what Muriel just said, you need to have a degree of versatility to work with so many different business owners. So in a way, if I understand correctly, you can work with someone like me. If I have a group of advisors under me, like my assistant, you can work with someone like Julio. And you can work with a business owner having a manufacturing industry or someone having a restaurant. So how you adapt your approach to all those different kind of people in different trades?
So after we do our needs analysis, most of the time, most business owners somewhat know what they need to do. Okay, it's in their brain. They just don't know how to execute. Okay, and execution is the same in every business, right? So I'll give you an example. If a realtor or a new moving company or a gym were to come up to me today and were to say, I want to open a business, okay? The first question is you have to figure out what business do you want to open? What services will you be offering? What are the benefits of your services? What are the benefits of the benefits? This is very important for marketing. You have to know what the benefit of your service is. Then you ask, well, how much money do you have? Very important. And that's when you even bring in an accountant, because sometimes people think they have lots of money, but they don't have any money, or they don't have any cash flow, which is a huge problem for businesses. And so that's where you start to look at them. And, you know, if you look at Ford, I don't know if you ever read the book, Think and Grow Rich. One of the things that somebody said to Ford once, well, you're not very smart. You don't know math. And he said, well, why should I know math? I have an accountant. Okay. And so sometimes, no matter what industry, you, as the consultant, I can help them also find the professionals that they need for their business. And that's what's important.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.